Our broadcast here this Tuesday, May 26, 2026. It's a pleasure to have all of you again with us. We want to welcome you to this broadcast every Tuesday, the Issues Room. Sorry for the quick little glitch we had, and I had to restart the program. Anyhow, this evening we're going to have a good conversation. I'm sure you saw the topic points that we have here tonight, the Supreme Court decision on Yeke's case. Nice Paola Bidel false alarm that Ebola is in Liberia. And why did former President George Weah do very little for sports during his tenure as president of Liberia? That's what we're going to be talking about this evening. And so we like to welcome all of you, wherever you are. Please help us to share the show. And so we can invite more people to join us here. It promises to be a good conversation. So we want you to hang in and be with us. Let me bring in Afonso Yenu, my co host. Welcome, Afonso. Good to see you again. We were just here on last Tuesday, once a week. As we said, we're going to be doing this. And so good to catch up. A lot being happening.
Thank you, Volcano.
Oh, sorry, I didn't unmute you. Go ahead.
And
You're
you
good. Yeah.
and you
So
still and you still have me off camera. I'm
you
not
are
on.
on. You're
I'm
live.
not in I'm not in a show. I don't see myself.
You're alive. I don't know what's happening on your end, but you're alive.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you for welcoming me to the show. And listeners, as Volcano says, share the link. This is going to be a very interesting conversation, and we want you to be a part of the discussion as well. So please share the link and join us for this very intriguing and important conversation. Thank you.
Can you see yourself now? Are you seeing yourself?
No, I do not.
Yeah, you are. You are live. You are
Okay, then
added
that's
to
okay.
the broadcast. Except you want me to remove you and bring you back. Let's do that and see. Okay, so now I'm adding you again. Can you see yourself?
So there's a silhouette of me, not me, but as long as the you and the public can see me, that's fine.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure the public is seeing you.
All right,
So
that's fine.
quite
That's
frankly,
fine.
you are there. But if you can help to share the link, let's do that from your end as well. While we try to do that quickly, um, so we can stimulate the audience and have a lot of folks here tonight. Um, just try to mute what you have on your end so you don't have any kind of feedback, coming through. But I think the 1 day a week is good enough in the meantime, right?
Yes, yes, it is. It is. It is.
Cause so much, my man. I will be getting business very soon,
Yeah,
so I
it's
think it only makes sense to do the once a week. Um, and I'm talking about extremely busy, so I just
there's
want
a
to make
lot.
sure that we do
There's a lot
justice.
going on. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Please help us share the link on your end, please. I'm trying to do that. I know that there are a lot of platforms out here, but consider us. Consider us. Uh, I'm trying to get this out to a few people, few groups. That is why we need to pay somebody behind the scene to do this for us.
Yeah. You can't be producing, talking, and
You see,
working the background at the same time.
yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult. Very difficult. Yeah, very difficult. It's a combination of a lot.
It is. It's the technical and the production and then presentation all at the same time. That's hard. Yeah.
Yep. I know somebody will soon ask us for them to take the job.
Then we'll we will look into that.
But we gotta see the resume that say that they're good at with Facebook.
Yeah,
They got some people that are really good at handling Facebook, my man.
absolutely. Um, let
Not
me
like
see
us.
this audio camera.
All right. Okay, man. Alfonso, that's good enough. Hopefully, we will have an audience. But yeah, so we wanted to talk about three things. As I said, I kind of quickly posted the three things we wanted to talk about. A lot of people kind of frown on our topics. They say there's much more happening in the country than rather for us to dwell on the Yeke Koluba's case. And someone, and let me not say someone in particular because the posting was out there. Rivers S Pro kind of frowned on us and said, "Why we are not talking about one man building a whole university? Where did he take the money?" He's not saying who the one man, but I'm inclined to think he means Thomas Fala,
Mhm.
who is handling this whole Nimbo thing.
Yeah.
But he didn't say the man. He said where the man took the money from. But from what we heard, Fala been around long. Fala is a businessman. He been around long. However, he got his money. Uh, we can talk about it on another note. But I just thought that folks thinks that we are dwelling too much on one issue. But I think the reason for this, and I'll let you come in the next 30 seconds, is because too many lawyers in Liberia, too many public lawyers who are making judgment and arguing
Yeah.
what the House should have done and not do, what the Supreme Court is supposed to do and not do. And that is why we wanted to come here and, paint a picture of some clarity so that folks can understand the legal aspect of everything that is happening. Am I right?
You are correct. You're very correct. There's a lot of people out there. I would There are a lot of people out there who are still saying, lawyers, as you said, a lot of lawyers out there who are saying, oh, for example,
No, no,
uh,
citizens lawyers, just like we have citizen journalists, citizen
yeah,
lawyers.
that, oh, the Supreme Court erred by saying that the bailiff or the sheriff did not deliver the writ properly. One thing they fail to understand is that the judiciary is one branch of government, the legislature is another branch of government. For these branches to deal with each other and to collaborate, they put together procedures and mechanisms that do not follow what would have been done to the common man, because the house is the when the Supreme Court deals with the House or the Senate, they're not dealing with them like Joe Blow Alfonso walking in the street. They're dealing with an institution of government, three equal branches of government. So to make sure that their communication goes through properly, that is under the set procedures. This bailiff or sheriff, whoever it is from the Supreme Court, did not follow that procedure. So the Supreme Court could not hold the House in contempt of violating its rules. There's reasons why we see procedures. If you don't follow the rules, if you don't follow the procedure, then we can't blame, the other party. And also, that doesn't mean that Yeke's case is over. In fact, Yeke's legal team took an
So
appeal
I'm not ready for you to delve into it. I wanted
yeah,
to
yeah,
do a
yeah,
quick
yeah. No, I'm
summary.
just on the
Yeah,
periphery. So
yeah.
our lawyers around, and I wish at some point we can invite some of them to the forum so we can hear their views, so the public can hear, and so we can have a debate on the issue. There is,
Yeah. So
yeah.
continue. Maybe you just
No,
want to end. Go ahead.
there is law that says when you go to arrest or you take a petition or whatever it is to Mr. Joe Blow, this is the procedure. But the law also says you cannot arrest a legislator while they're in session. The law also provides that there are provisions and procedures under which the three branches of government operate. The judiciary, for instance, instance, cannot go arrest the president. Even though we have procedures that say if somebody sues somebody to arrest them, they can arrest the president. Even though they say when somebody sues somebody to arrest them, they can't arrest a legislator while they're in or going to session. So those are exceptions. And our lawyers and our educated people need to understand these things. Unfortunately, because we're so, partisan, everything comes from the partisan lens, and everybody wants to come across as if, they're the one that know everything more than everybody else. That's what I think that's one of the problems. And that's why it's important to discuss and lay this thing to rest, take it to its logical conclusion. But as River says, Pro said, if they have other issues, I mean, we invite them to come and let's have a dialogue. That's why we have a show. That's why we open the show up for people to call. That's why we open the show up for people to make comments. So definitely, if anybody has other topics or suggestions, suggest them. If you have any ideas here in terms of what we're discussing, please come on board when the phones are open or before the phones are open. Put your comment in the chat.
So yeah, so I just wanted to give a small summary of what the research provided. That the most recent development in the case involving Yaka Koluba is that the Supreme Court of Liberia intervened after the House expelled him back in April. So those of people who want to catch up on where we are, and here are some of the issues. The court issued a state order directing the House to halt the disciplinary actions they took against Yeke while the court reviewed his petition. Despite that order, the House proceeded to expel him from the legislature, right? Koluba then filed a bill of information accusing the House leadership of defying the Supreme Court and violating his constitutional due process rights. Legal analysts and commentators argued the case could become a major constitutional test over separation of powers, whether the legislature can ignore the judicial stay order. Reports from the May 2026 say that the Supreme Court was expected to issue a ruling in the expulsion case. However, it is noted that a Koluba Bill of Information filed before the Supreme Court of Liberia was denied and dismissed by Associate Justice in Chambers Yusuf D. Kaba. In his ruling, Justice Kaba stated that the rate of prohibition and accompanying stay order were not properly served on the respondent in keeping with Rule 26.5 of the House's uh, rule. The justice further noted that the respondent could not be held in contempt for actions taken without lawful service of the court's order. Hence, the Bill of Information was denied and dismissed for lack of proper service. What does that mean?
Thank you. What that means is that, in simple terms, what is not done legally is not done at all. That's the basis of what that means. So, as I was saying earlier, there's a procedure, there's a process um, by which the Supreme Court serves precepts on the legislature, including the House. And the standard procedure from the House rules, as also negotiated and accepted by the Supreme Court, is that when you go to serve a writ of prohibition or whatever, a bill of information on the legislature, in this case the House of Representatives, that it must be given to the sergeant in arms. In this case, the Supreme Court officer who went to deliver it gave it to some clerk, computer operator, not even in the sergeant at arms office, but in the speaker's office. So therefore, according to the House, it wasn't served properly, and because it wasn't served properly, it didn't get to them in time. There's a reason why you give it to the sergeant at arms. The sergeant at arms, once they receive something from the Supreme Court, they know the importance or urgency of it, and they can open it right away and serve it on the appropriate authorities. When you give it to a computer operator who doesn't know the urgency of it, it's possible to sit on it and wait for 2, 3 days and say, I will give it to my chief, or to put it through the regular mailing process. There's a lot of mail that goes to the House and to the Senate. They can put it through the regular mailing process because every office receives mail. They've sort the mails out, they put it in boxes, they deliver it later in the day or the following day or the following day. Mind you, this writ of prohibition from the Supreme Court was to stop an ongoing process. So the fact that it wasn't delivered appropriately to the right channels, the fact that it was delivered to a computer operator, there's a likelihood that that computer operator, not knowing the importance of it, delayed its delivery to the right authority. So the House leadership
Uh,
went ahead and then said to the Supreme Court, "Oh, we didn't receive your writ of prohibition."
I'm hearing that there's a lot of echo coming from you. Somebody just posted.
Yeah, I let me go. Do you hear me still?
I'm hearing you, but I don't know
Okay.
what happened on the outside.
I hope that takes away the echo. I think the echo is coming from studio, but we can do it. We can work on it later. But let me put myself all the way down. Um. Okay. Yeah. So now, is it also possible that the House leadership saw the rate of prohibition and said, you know what? It was not delivered properly, so we will not honor it. Will go ahead. It's also possible, but we can't hold them accountable. We hold accountable the people who didn't deliver it properly. So that is where we are. So the Supreme Court, looking in the case, said, look, we agree. There's a possibility that Volcano did not receive the rate that we sent to him. Therefore, we can punish Volcano because we made a mistake and put it and send the rate to the neighbor's house, or give it to Volcano's son who are playing soccer outside. While Volcano were cutting grass, the neighbor complained and said, "Oh, the man in my yard cutting grass here, please stop him." Quickly, they sent people there to come and stop Volcano. Instead of going to Volcano to stop him, they took the paper to Volcano's son who playing soccer on the football field, said, "Give it to your father." The son did not bring the notice to Volcano in time. Volcano already finished cutting the grass. Do you then go and punish Volcano for for not stopping? Do you going to go and punish Volcano and say you violated our order? No. That's the basic, simple way of understanding this thing. The writ of prohibition and as well as the bill of information were not served properly. And because they were not served properly on the people it's supposed to be served on, we cannot now come back and punish those people. So the justice in chamber, in my view, rightfully concluded that they could not hold the house in contempt. Now, does that mean, in my mind you, the issue that was being considered by the justice in chamber was whether or not to hold the house in contempt. The justice decided no, they didn't get the right. We believe them because we ourselves didn't deliver it properly, so we cannot punish them for our own mistake. So we throw this right outside. Representative Corlubas legal team to an exception to the full bench of the Supreme Court. The full bench of the Supreme Court will decide A, to take the matter, B, not take the matter, C, if they take the matter, to pass a judgment on the matter. So the issue is not fully resolved yet, but I think our lawyers, our journalists, and the public need to understand and try to separate these issues first from our hyper partisan debates and look at it from a legal framework, but also from a common sense framework of things. And that's where we are now.
I was just trying to cheat backstage to make sure that there's no echo. It's good now. So just
Yeah.
continue.
So
Or
are we good on the echo?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, great. So that's where we are on that on the Yaka Koluba situation. Now, we haven't even delved into the real issues, the exposure and the reasons why Yaka was expelled. When representatives
But
and
before you
senators,
get to that,
yeah,
Alfonso,
mhm,
let's go back to how Yeke came out and said that he was disappointed. He think that everything is being. A lot of people say everything is plotted by President Boakai. President Boakai got his hand in this matter. Money is changing hand and all kinds of things. Based on your explanation, and hopefully our viewers and those listening will comprehend it better from a legal perspective rather than listening to citizens lawyers in the country just like they follow citizen journalists. uh, do you really think that there any kind of foul play here, really just to throw Yeka in the street and not pay attention to anything he says? Because the pundits are saying this is a test of the separation of power and how, with the judiciary, the interpreter of the laws in the land, how they will be seen if they cannot do their jobs. You remember the issue with um, former Speaker Kofa when they came up with this famous term, ultra viral, right? It was used and it was just all over the place, and people were defining it even in their own way. So, again, do you really think that Yeke will have a redress to this matter? Just before you go to set the stage about, you know, whether his case will be thrown out and all of that.
So let me begin by your first question with about foul play. Whether there's foul play, whether money change hands and all of that. That that is a cancer in our society that we need to collectively address. When we were going to school, you and me, at least in our era, um, we were taught from early grade that yes, you can make an educated judgment, educated guess, which is hypothesis, but you must investigate and find evidence, and then you say it or you publish it. In Liberia, it doesn't matter. Anybody can get up today and say Volcano is a rogue. They've been stealing money. They're bribing people. They're giving this person money. They get everybody stealing. Everybody's a thief in the country. We need to
River says pro say one making Bill University, so we
yeah,
need to
it
go
will,
check
and
what
we'll
you
come to
talking.
we'll come to that point. Plummer Fowler built a university when he was CDC man. That's when he built his first university. I wonder what Riverside Pro said then. So, what his name? Prince Johnson built a university. I wonder what Riverside Pro said then. So it's the same partisan thing we're talking about. When the man is your man, he built university, it's a good thing. Then one person can do it. When the man's your man and he built 45 condominiums overnight, then it's a good thing. Then one man can do it. When he leaves you and you go on the other side, then he's a bad man because one man can't do it.
But
That's
but the
why
argument, but
I'm moving
the
power.
argument, the argument is he says that if the echo returns soon, you share the screen. Okay. So what's gonna happen here? I'll just mute my mic. Let me mute my mic and please let me know, Sanja, if the echo gonna uh uh go away when I mute my mic. Please let me know.
Yep. So let me go back to the Yaka Kolibati and the allegations of
No, but I
bribery.
wanted to say that for the non-condominium, they say the man have money, the man play soccer, he had enough money. So he
Okay.
was waiting for the right time. He needed to be
The
president
right
first before he
the right
built that.
time was he was waiting to become president and have access over national resources before he started using his personal resources that he earned. Very good logic. Very good logic. But that's besides the point. It's not we can come back to it later. It's not one of our issues. I don't see anything, any foul play related to the Yaka Koluba removal. One, let's even assume, without any proof or evidence, that President Boakai engineered the removal of Yaka Koluba. It's within his purview, it's within his political purview to do so. Here we are here in this country. presidents of the United States of America campaign against legislators to be removed. They endorse other legislators over others. Why? They want people in the legislature who will work with them to implement and carry on their agenda. So there's no foul play. If a president says this legislator is bad for my agenda, I don't want him, and whatever, there's nothing wrong with that at all. Now, let's go to the process. If there was bribery or if there was violation in the process of removing that person, then that's the point we should be arguing. Not whether or not President Baraka wanted Yake or one Musa Yakba in the legislature or not. President Baraka ran on an agenda. He ran within a party structure. The party structure had people running within the on the party ticket to take those seats. So he didn't support some of the people who are into there. So we shouldn't expect that somehow he will agree with them on everything. Some of them even voted against his agenda. So it's not wrong for a president to say, "I don't want this." Now, if the president bribe people, then that in itself is a crime and is a violation. But where is the evidence? Where is the evidence that he did that? He bribed people. I heard recently an ambassador who made a sweeping claim that legislators took money from Europeans to pass contracts, was called to provide evidence, and they didn't have it. We have to, my people, and our even our media does the same thing. According to reliable sources, somebody said that somebody called me. We need to do investigations. If we don't do that, here's what happens. First, we tarnish everybody. Second, we undermine our own profession as media people. Nobody listens to us anymore because we just, especially when it's proven that what we've been claiming is untrue. Oh, they're the same lying people. Or everything is political and lying and lying. So we have to be careful with that. That's my caveat and that's my warning to everybody, all of us, not just the media, but Liberians just walking in the street and just making allegations of other people. Let's at least find some evidence and do some investigation and attach some truth to what we say. Is your mic off?
Yeah, that's something I have to get used to. I don't know where this echo coming from you, but we'll find a way out. But my question now is, where do we go from here with Yeke? Now that everything has been, put to a halt, is he going to file again? I heard that he wants the full bench. He's going to go to the full bench. Um, with this.
Yeah. So Yeket and his legal team disagreed with the decision made by Justice Yusuf Kabir and filed an appeal to the full bench of the Supreme Court. Let's wait and hear what the full bench says. In the meantime, he was expelled by his colleagues from the House, so he's no longer a member. At least he's no longer functioning as a member of the House of Representatives. If however the Supreme Court decides that his removal was not right, it didn't follow due process, because that's his argument. It did not follow due process, and therefore they should return to status quo ante. Then he would return and he'll probably get advocate for and get some of his benefits that he's missing right now while he's lying down in Ghana with his family. I heard he traveled to go see a family, and then they can begin all over. Like in the case of former Speaker Fonati Kofa, when the Supreme Court said that they should return to status quo ante and that the majority had acted ultra-virus to the law to return the status quo ante, and Fonati Kofa resigned anyway because he probably saw that the majority was not going to work with him. So this
And
if
that's
it
why I want
happened,
to ask
if the
quickly.
Supreme
That's
Court
why I
rules
want to ask
something.
quickly. Would that
Go
be the
ahead.
same in the case of all the folks who signed and say expelled him? Whether
Yep.
he goes back through due process or not, if they all sign at this point, knowing that the house has gotten quiet since Yeke left, no more karate man, no more this, no more disruption. I think they're having sanity at this point. You think that he going to win anything, or it's just going to be wasting water on dog back?
So what? So basically, what Yaka and his lawyers are advocating is called procedural due process. So it's not even substantive due process, just procedure. Let's follow the procedure. They didn't follow the right procedure. They denied my right to representation. My lawyers should have spoken for me, and they said my lawyers might not speak for me, in which I disagree with because of an investigation. But let's say, and you're right. Let's say the Supreme Court says that okay, you didn't follow the procedure. You'll go back to the process. As long as the House can get 2/3, which is 49 members, he's out regardless. Decisions in the legislature are made by majority rule, by majority. Whatever the majority votes is where it goes. So he might win the procedural due process argument, which I doubt, but even if he did, he still can be removed by his colleagues because they do have the authority to do so.
All right. Thank you. It's about 7:34. Welcome to the Issues Room. Alfonso Yuno and myself, Volcano Shelton here. We're here every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here in the US and 11 p.m. in Liberia based on the current time zone. We'd like to welcome you. Join us here once a week. Invite others to like the page as we come here to discuss the pertinent obtaining issues in the country. We thought to just discuss some of these things because they were very important, especially with how interpretations take routes. And, our citizens, they always know more than the Constitution, they know more than the judiciary, they know more than the legislature. So we just thought to have this conversation to clear some doubts and set the tune as to where the Yeke Koluba's case is and the next course of action. But something happened the other day, and we thought to also discuss that. If you look at the discussion topic, it has to do with a nurse by the name of Paola Bidel, who is involved in a widely shared audio message that falsely claimed that there is Ebola outbreak in Liberia. She was arrested for more questioning. A lot of folks now are saying that based on Enfield coming out and said there were 16 people traveling in the country from that part of where the Ebola outbreak, Uganda and the Democratic Republic of Congo, who are also being monitored and quarantined and stuff like that, just to make sure that they go through all the procedural, health uh, assessment. They're assuming now that this lady was right. Now, according to the Liberian media and statement from the Ministry of Health and the National Public Health Institute of Liberia, the audio caused panic because it claimed Ebola patients had been identified and transferred to isolation centers in Monrovia. Even with the arrival of these people coming from Uganda and the Democratic Republic of Congo, it does not confirm that they are tested for Ebola and have Ebola. Her false alarm was there were patients who were, carrying the sickness, and they were also already quarantined and in isolation. So authorities said that the information was completely false and confirmed that Liberia has had no suspected, probable, or confirmed Ebola cases at the time, and not even just at the time, but as it is right now. The only thing is that some folks travel to Liberia from that region, 16 individuals who are, being considered for uh, assessment and so forth. Now, Alfonso, You know what Ebola did in Liberia between 2014, 2015, and probably almost 2016. Thousands of people died, not just Liberia, but Sierra Leone. And for a nurse, a practitioner who does not have the right information to go out there and create this kind of stir and panic, yet with the confirmation, they're saying that the government is trying to play cover up because the woman was right from the beginning. But the same government is saying that yet there has not been any report of Ebola in the country, except for these people who just came from that region and will want to take the necessary precaution. What do you say?
So, first of all, let's begin with the concept of raising false alarm. Raising false alarm is a violation of law. It's a violation of law. So it's written in the law when you raise a false alarm, there are consequences for that. Secondly, in this case of a public health emergency, Ebola for and she's a nurse, I heard, so she's supposed to know. She ought to know. If you raise a false alarm on a public health issue, a lot of terrible things happen. First of all, it could lead to waste of public resources. So now government and other institutions and everybody are putting resources, pulling resources and fact from other things and putting it into that. Resources that could have gone to other things. That is why it's wrong. That is why it's a bad thing. That is why it's a violation, and we shouldn't politicize it. Because money that could go to schools, money that could go to clinics to deal with malaria and typhoid and other things would not be put to fighting something that does not exist. People will start hiring people to go fight Ebola, to start texting people, testing people rather, and turn their back to people who have malaria. The second thing is Ebola has similar symptoms as malaria and other ailments and other diseases. When you say Ebola is in the country, given our history, given our experience of what Ebola did to us in 2014 and 2013, when you say there's Ebola in the country, there's a tendency for people, as soon as they see symptoms similar to Ebola, which could be malaria or something else, they might abandon those people. They might not be willing to go near those people to provide care for them. That can hurt the community. That can hurt people. So these are the different things, just a few of the problems that recent false public health alarms can cause. Resource wastage, so we waste resources on something that doesn't exist. We get distracted into other things. We don't do the right thing. And two, we might have family people abandoning family people. We might have wives leaving their husbands who showing symptoms, because we saw in 2014 that when people went to help their relatives or friends, that's when they died. So again, we could cause the death of people, needlessly, by raising a false alarm. So this should not be politicized. This is a public health issue, and we all should work together. Ebola doesn't know a Party person, a CMC person, or CDC person. We should work collaboratively to address this public health situation. I hope that it doesn't come. And I heard CDC issue a statement saying the government is weaponizing freedom of speech and all of that. Why did we write laws? Why did we write laws if everything is going to be political and partisan? I mean, guys, let's work together and build our country. The person who might get abandoned tomorrow by this false alarm might be a CDC person, might be a CMC person, might be your family member. So if the nurse knew fully well that nobody told her there were confirmed cases of Ebola in the country. And she went and started publicizing that somehow there are confirmed cases of Ebola. In fact, in this country and many places, in Liberia, under the law, the resource is like you call police, or you raise a false alarm on fire. The resources that are spent by the public, you will pay them back,
A bomb,
in
a
addition
bomb,
to going to jail.
or saying, "Oh, there's bomb." You go,
A bomb threat or
yeah,
whatever. They
yeah.
can hold you accountable, and you can go to jail and pay the fines for the resources. That's what civilized societies do. Let's not politicize everything. let's look at our own benefit and the benefit of our communities. Imagine you went to a, it's the crowd, I mean, yelling fire in a crowded theater. People running and get hurt. People break their legs. So there's stampede. People get killed. That is a crime. Even though you have a right to speak, but your speech can harm people. If it harm people, you can be held accountable,
So let me say this
especially if
for
it's
you.
false speech.
Yeah. So when you look at the situation here, especially coming from a practitioner who should be licensed, I'm not sure if the nurses are licensed in Liberia because it means her license is on the line. She just created she just violated the code, the medical code. How do you create such a public pandemonium knowing fully well that you don't have the evidence to that? And even with the current situation now that folks can, and the truth here is not because someone comes from Uganda or comes from Democratic Republic of Congo, so it means they're already infected. No, the Ministry of Health and Enfield and the government of Liberia must be in a position to communicate clearly to the public that someone or some people came from this region, and we are doing what we're supposed to do as a government to make sure that these people are Ebola free, because they at some point have to assimilate, right? And now if they are not Ebola free and tested for Ebola, then of course we'll quarantine, try to treat. Unfortunately, according to this strain, does not have a vaccine yet and no known treatment. So then we quarantine until God, decide what to do with them. But the absolute truth here, I think the process is going well. So, like you said, for opposition to take everything and compromise the health and safety of the country, and try to support a person who should know better. Better. I'm not sure if she's an LPN, an RN, BSN, whatever N, but I saw a picture of her sitting with the chief medical officer of the John F. Kennedy
Yeah.
Medical Center. I don't
Mm.
know if it was a reprimand. I don't know if they were giving her, a final rating warning. You can't do this. We'll reinstate your job. I really don't know if she's still in police custody. All of that. But let us not continue to back wrong. We must speak where the truth is, and we must say the truth. Again, the government is taking the right step, and for them to align what the government comes and say now is that yes, the woman had what we call the 411 long before the government came to tell the public. So, I mean, what? Let's conclude on this, but just wrap it up with what you think. But I think that there must be strong reprimand for her if even she's no longer a nurse, because that's a public pandemonium. A scar was left. People are still depressed from the loss of their loved ones based on Ebola. People are very, very petrified when you come out like that and say something like this, and for ordinary people to just take this for granted and posting on social media and creating more public stir. I think that we're not pushing our country anywhere if we continue this kind of behavior.
And for Kenna, you made a very, very important point. So it wasn't even limited to just what she said. Being a nurse, she's a nurse. Her community knows her to be a healthcare worker. So they respect her and what she says from the healthcare sector. So now the community hears her posting, they go with it too. Other people see it and they go and start posting publicly. Before you see, there's a wildfire that goes around the entire country. Or Ebola is in Liberia. People start panicking. They start hoarding food from the market, for example, because they don't know whether, when it spreads, they don't want to go to market. So they start hoarding food. Market people scared to go to market. People scared to go into public venues. People might pull their children out of school. A lot of things might happen in the country that might affect the economy, affect the social life of people, affect a lot of things. That is why it is not good to raise. That's one of the reasons it's not good to raise false alarms in a community. And synonymous to the thing where people
But in
say,
fact, but
yelling
in fact,
fire in a crowded theater.
the matter here was not her to
Yep.
bring to the public. That is
Yep.
why The government has this information arm. The Ministry of Health has a Department of Public Affairs. The Enfield will also have a PRO. So when they craft the information, then it comes to the public. Not you being a lone wolf to come and bring that kind of information. And you're absolutely right. Just in her community alone, she's respected. Those are the people that are taking the drugs from the hospital and carrying it home and treating the people, and got their own in the house clinic. So they see them as serious practitioners. So whatever information they're bringing, those information are kind of considered accurate, without any reservation. But I think honestly it was dangerous because I remembered vividly when COVID was raging. I had bought my ticket to go to Liberia, and I said I'm going. I went to Liberia. I followed all the routine. I had my vaccine card. I was tested at the airport. Then while in Liberia, I think 7 to 10 days of my trip, they decided to shut the airport down. So I had to leave the country that Wednesday. The only last flight that left Monrovia was a Kenya Airway flight that took us from Monrovia to Kenya. Imagine me going all the way to East Africa before flying out of East Africa to come to JFK. When we arrived in JFK, 15 hours flight. It was early morning between 6 and 7. New York City was a ghost town.
Yep.
But they didn't turn us back. They didn't quarantine us,
No.
right? We were asked questions, they tested our temperature, and they let us in. I didn't come back with COVID. I didn't leave with COVID. I had all the precautions. I sat on the plane. They were disinfecting the plane. They did everything. That's why we had that conversation the last time that Ebola is around. So the government needed to be proactive rather than reactionary. We did have that conversation. So I'm sure that the country Liberia is not new to Ebola. They've experienced it at a greater proportion. So they will have put in the right mechanisms to handle the matter. So for a single person to come out and disturbs the public like that, again, if it was in any civilized, serious minded country, she would be revoked of her license and she would not practice nursing anymore, to be frank.
Yep, exactly. And you're correct. So recent false public alarm is a crime under our on our law, as it is here in the United States and many other places. So she's not currently in jail. I saw something on Facebook that a lawyer went and bailed her out, so she was bailed out, which is fine. The process is taking its course. I just wanted to, before you move on to the next topic, to respond to Sanja Manja's question. You're muted.
I said I was going to pose this question, but we were
Okay.
in the Ebola lane, so I didn't want,
Yep.
because his stuff is reverting us to Yeka Koluba.
And
So just
yeah,
answer that question quick for him.
20 seconds or 10 seconds. So the Constitution says, Sanja, that the legislature and both houses of the legislature have the right to expel, to punish or expel, to make their own rules, and to punish and expel members of the house. Now, the Yaka Colibar case is that members of the House of Representatives said two things. There was a complaint filed by one of the members that said that Yaket A violated his oath of office, because when they all become members, to take an oath of office to defend and protect the country and the constitution of the country, and bear true faith and allegiance to the country at all times. They believe that Yake's statement regarding the Guinea situation violated that oath of office that he took. They also said there were other actions by Yake that brought the House into disrepute. There's also a law in their code that says that any action by a legislator that brings the House into disrepute or the Senate into disrepute is grounds for punishment, up to and including removal, in this case, expulsion from the House. And that is what happened. So, do they have the right to do so? Which I believe your question is saying. Yes, they do have the right to do, the legal right to do so.
Thank you, Alfonso. So our last conversation here tonight, or topic in the conversation, has to do with sports. All right. So, why did President Weah do very little for sports in Liberia? Many Liberians expected George Weah to transform sports because of his legendary football career. During his presidency between 2018 and 2024, critics say sports development received far less attention than expected. Several reasons were mentioned: economic governance, crisis took priority. Liberia was facing major economic problems, unemployment, inflation, debt pressure, and corruption allegations during Weah tenure. Much of the government's energy and budget went toward broader political and economic survival rather than long-term sports investment. Other issues that came about had to do with a lack of sustained sports infrastructure. Critics argue that there was no strong national sports development strategy implemented. In 2025, Weah's own former youth and sports minister, Mr. D. Zoga Wilson, publicly admitted that the administration under Weah failed to lay the groundwork for sustainable sports development in the country. Limited investment in facilities and youth systems. People expected football academies, league development, training centers, and grassroots programs. While some stadiums renovations were done and support for national teams happened, many Liberians felt that there was no deep structural investment in youth football or sports education. Critics especially point to the absence of a major WIA-backed academy system, dependence on personality instead of institutions. Some analysts say WIA's popularity as a football icon created expectations that symbolism alone will inspire change. Um, but building sports system requires administration, funding structure, coaching development, scouting networks, and transparent management. Areas where Liberia continue to struggle. Broader criticism of government capacity, opponents frequent accusation that the administration of weak governance and poor management, those criticisms extended into sports administration as well. At the same time, supporters of WIA argue that Liberia's economy was too weak for massive sports spending. He inherited long-standing institutional problems. Some progress was made in infrastructure and international visibility. Expectations were unrealistically high because of his football legacy. So the short answer here is many people believe we are underdeveloped on sports because his administration focused on political and economic crisis, lack of strong long-term sports development program, and failed to build lasting institutions despite enormous public expectations tied to his football career. Now, we know that Weah is an international icon when it comes to the soccer game. And I think that honestly, before we go into a quick discussion, I would like to play something from the late President Samuel Doe, who was just a roundtown boy who played the game just for affection. But I want you to listen to him, and I want the audience to listen to him uh, as compared to the man who benefited, who became world best, Africa best, Europe best, Ballon d'Or, and all of that. And let's do the analysis here and see whether these justifications made here really hold ground. Because I believe that if President Weah wanted to do more for sports, he had a contact to do it because it was in his lane. You know, we all have our era, right? And it was his era. So let's go to that clip, and then we'll have the conversation.
Members of the National Lone Star players for the wonderful job done in Accra, Ghana. Well, my involvement in sports is that when I was a teenager, I loved to play soccer. And so being a national leader this time, I think it is expedient that we all
Were you hearing the clip?
Yes.
You were hearing it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then let me get back to it. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, Mike is muted, perhaps.
Are you hearing it?
No.
Okay.
I'm hearing it. I'm hearing it.
What made sports is that when I was a teenager, I loved to play soccer. And so being a national leader this time, I think it is expedient that we all, as patriotic Liberians, to support our national team so that whenever they are out of this place or whenever they are playing here, they will bring victory to the country and the people of this nation. So mine, being a soccer player, has nothing to do with my official responsibility as president of this country. Nevertheless, as chairman of the Liberian Football Association, it's also my equal obligation to do whatever in my power to support the national team. So this is one of my reasons of supporting and playing with the national team so as to encourage them so that when any other authority comes here again, they will not let the country down.
I traveled with the national team to Ghana, and the Ghanaian press spoke highly of your involvement in sports. And one of the papers said if they had a president like President Doe, Ghana would go to the World Cup. What do you hope to see the Lone Star do?
Well, I don't want to be too optimistic for the fact that football is you cannot predict football because you can never tell what will happen. Because as you can see, we have just been practicing with the team, and if the luck is there, you can win. It's not a matter of who play professional football. The lead chance God gave you, if you utilize it, you take the game. And so we can't say we will beat Ghana or will not beat Ghana. Any mistake you make on the field of play, you down.
Finally, Mr. President, you seem every time you put in more time into the Lone Star, but sometimes we are disappointed, we are defeated. Why are you not discouraged?
Why? I mean, we're not supposed to get discouraged because, as I said, it's a game. Whenever you go to play a game, you must expect to lose or to win. So I don't want to criticize anybody here, but if the past administration put more effort into sport in this country, like we are being far from now. But in the past, they consider football player to be Krona people. And this is a game that carries the image of the country all over the world. So I think it is about time that we support the national team so that they can bring victory home. By sitting in our air-conditioned houses and criticize will not help this country. So I think the only thing we can do to support the Lone Star is by giving them our moral and financial, political support as well, so that when they leave from here, they'll know that people behind them. And it is shameful that for a country like Liberia, 142-year-old, and we should be proud of our past records. So I think it is about time, and the time has come for the sports in this country to be improved and developed to any level compared to any other Brazilian team or any other soccer team in this world.
Thank you very much.
The president.
So, ordinary guy, he play at no level, you know, and here he is telling some saying some very important things at that time when we didn't have all of this. And here comes Mr. Weah, president. He only built one invisible park and one PHP park instead of building soccer academy. Look, when I go to Liberia, I just go around the place and see the little children playing. My man, you'd be surprised. Just on their bare feet, the talent. The children can eat football with their mouth, with their teeth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this guy sat there just having fun for 6 years.
Yeah.
Samuel Doe was the reason that we was even able to leave Liberia. Hey, man. I mean, you played the tabella too. Tell your own story now.
Exposure to in sports in general, soccer particularly in Liberia, there are two things. There's the training, there's the skill, then there's the training and development of the skill, and then there's also exposure. And the comment you just made about Samuel Doe being responsible for a lot of Liberians getting the exposure to go professional, that's what I'm trying to buttress. Exposure. His involvement into the game, his funding of Lone Star and other players going out and showcasing their talent gave them the exposure that they needed to then go out there to be scouted by international people and to go play professional. Let's go back to the idea of soccer academies and all of that. Under Samuel Doe, here is what they used to do. They would take the young people who were playing and send them to BWI and other colleges. They will have bus. The bus will pick them up from BWI, Kakata, and other places and bring them to SKD to train with coaches and foreign coaches and local coaches. They'll probably stay there. Sometimes they will stay at SKD and they will just take them to school and bring them back. So Mr. Weah didn't even have to go and build huge 500-acre sports academies. You could just begin from there. The other way people do soccer academies here is the children can even live with their parents. You just have the buses take them to school, from there to practice. After practice, you take them home and you make sure you pick them up from home, take them to school after practice. That's another way. Morocco went to the World Cup and almost won the World Cup. They went to the semifinals. There's a reason why they got there. King Mohammed Ali of Morocco said, look, we need to invest in sport and deliberately put money into the development of sports. Went around the country, put stadiums there, then recruited young people and put them in academies. The Moroccan team that went to the semifinal World Cup was mostly local players. Mostly local players. So we could have accomplished that. Third point. Mr. Weah didn't have to put a lot of Liberia's money into developing soccer in Liberia. He had all the goodwill in this world. He was the top soccer player in the world and in Africa. If he went anywhere and said, and even talked to, Weah used to go to Nigeria to play in the Kanu Heart Foundation to raise money because Unwanko Kanu played the game. And after playing, while he was playing, he had a heart problem. So Kanu used to fall down the pitch. So Kanu formed the Kanu Heart Foundation. International players, including Weah, used to go and play in the Kanu Heart Foundation tournament every year to generate money for Kanu's foundation. Weah could have done something like that to bring resources to soccer or to whatever initiative he wanted support for. He could have gone to FIFA and gotten money to do that.
I'll pause you right there.
Mhm.
A developmental president will go out there and see what his counterparts are doing and replicate it, like Tolbert used to do. Weah goes to Ghana. He matter of fact, lives in Ghana, partly lives in Ghana. He sees what other African players are doing, like the Abeti Pele Soccer Academy. He sees those things. Wouldn't he come back and say, you know what? I'm the biggest. I am the biggest on the continent. It is a shame for me to be the president of my country and not even build a soccer academy when the talents are all over the place. Now, the PHP Park and the, Invisible Park, It's just a recreation area. People go there to just, but it's not an academy where it's structured.
No.
How much does it cost? How much? Not much. He is friends to President Macron. He came to America. He sat with President Biden. They were watching the World Cup. He was pointing finger to his son that my Peking over there. It's all about Mr. Weah. It's all about Mr. Weah. That my son playing for the US. He the one scored that goal against what they call them? It was Wales, right? The Welsh team. And
Yeah.
and you able to brag and you able to smile about your personal achievement, but you cannot take that to the country. Now people are gonna say, "Oh, we had a team I had. He used to leave from his grandeur and come to Liberia and pay the team way to go in the sub region, da 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 da." But it came with a price tag. He wanted to be coach. He wanted to draw his crooning team, which he did, and that is why we couldn't go nowhere because the coaches were toothless bulldog in the dressing room. We know the story with Liberia not making it to the World Cup, all because of Weah. So it bothers me when people don't see these things. Look, you can't be you can come to prominence based on your background. We came to prominence based on our background as journalists, right? Our popularity soared as a result of being on the radio, utilizing the microphone. I'm a very different professional. My whole graduate degree and anywhere have advanced in my life is not journalism. But because of love for the profession, we continue to practice even in the insults that we receive, even in the disagreement when we post, even in what we say here. People are going to cuss us up, people are going to disagree with us. But we don't take that personal because it is where we started, and that is why we continue to massage it and become a part of it. So when we have a former icon, world stage icon, who became president of a third world country where there are still enough talents in the country. The money he took to spend 2 months at the World Cup, the money he took to fly private jet and pay for fuel and carry a large entourage, all of those monies, the monies he took to do personal things could have gone. And that would have cemented his legacy. So he could be coming back again and say, I want to, where I stopped from, I want to take it further. But you left nothing behind. Then you say you want to come back and be president. Coming back to be president over what? When your own sports minister say you failed, you failed, you failed to structure sports in the country and never supported. So those guys just stayed at the Ministry of Sports, collected salary and the little few competition that CAF and FIFA will put a little money to just so we can participate. It was just for charade. Alfonso, this is disingenuous. This is sad. And I don't think that we did anything compared to what Samuel Doe did for them in their time. He had everything in this modern time. They connect. When Doe was doing these things, he was just doing it on government budget. He said it. He was just doing it on government budget. So it's not like he was connected. He is and was connected during his tenure as president as compared to President Doe.
I'm reminded of a video, a small video that made it rounds on the internet not long ago, where former President Weah and other top former officials from Grand Crew County were talking to the young people, the team from Grand Crew County. And then one young man stood up and said, what services have you provided us? How have you supported us? We don't even have a soccer field to play on. We play barefooted. We don't even get food to eat. And you want us to come and win county meet? What have you provided? I hope that that message from that young man really resonates even today in the heads of President Weah and those other people. If President Weah was interested in sport, if he meant well, what President Weah should be doing now in his private life is going around mobilizing resources to develop soccer and other sports in that country. And there's a lot of goodwill out in the international community. If he does that, if he were to even do that, instead of putting money into CDC headquarters right now, and somebody mentioned that I think Manuel did, which is good. If he was going around the country building soccer arenas and soccer thing, and he comes tomorrow in 2029 and say he running to be president, imagine the amount of young people that will run after him. But these guys are not strategic. These guys are not thinking. It's always about power for themselves, not about helping the community, not about helping people. How they can fool people to get to power, not how they can empower people. And that's what the problem is. And you're right. President Dole, when he came to power, he said it in that statement he made. We when we used to play soccer, we used to hide
They
from our
call
parents to
Grunabo.
go play soccer. When they see you playing soccer, they will beat you. You would be punished because it was considered what a grown-up people sport. Why? Because it wasn't recognized, it wasn't being supported. Why other countries and people from other countries were making money out of it? When Dole came, he said he took it from that grown up boy sport thing and he made it a global phenomenon that it is. And we produce one of the best, if not the best soccer player in the world. We sent a lot of professionals to Europe and Asia and other places to play because of those intervention in the game and exposure that he brought to the game. It's not
And
left of
Alfonso, that's
Mr.
the one
Weah
that
and
hurt.
other people. They
Look,
can do that today.
that's what hurting me. This man had everything for those 6 years. That if we are only focused on that and didn't get Liberia electricity, I'm happy. Because if I'm sitting here and see my national team out there in major competitions, I would be proud. I would be happy. Look, when we went to South Africa, by the skin of the teeth, we were able to go to the quarterfinal.
Yeah.
I know not the quarterfinal, the group of 16. We went to the group of 16. I was proud that we made it out of the first round. But imagine how much more we could have done under his regime. And even if we didn't go into top tier competition, but the fact that structure was there, it would be developing for us. We could see it changing the trajectory. You understand me? Look, Weah is a talented guy when it comes to sports. The guy plays basketball. He plays every sport and plays it very well. So he could have invested in many of, training academies across the country. No PHP park where people just go to go take picture that is vulnerable to erosion right next to the ocean. When you got all the land inland, you could have built soccer academy, fence that thing, take children from the street. You got parents know you often okay. They want for the government. We will take care of you because the way you can play, we're taking care of you. Send a child over there. That child go into regular school right after class. He eats by 3 o'clock. They're on the training ground. They don't leave from there till 6:30. You start developing those kids. They start going in across the country. Then they go in the sub region and so forth. What happened to the high school competition we used to have? I don't even think. They said the biggest league now is the county meet. The Premier League or the whatever league or what we used to call first division, all of those leagues are dead. Everybody just wait for county meet. So the high school, you remember that the recruiting used to be done at the high school level? All of those things are dead under this president who came and did nothing. I mean, it's a shame. It's a shame.
It is a shame. And I'm glad that people in this administration who are talking about that. I heard that President Waka announced that they will put a soccer academy in Bond County, and I think some other place. If that is done, it will be phenomenal. Look, soccer is not just it's entertainment. Entertainment brings money into the country. The World Cup is coming to Mexico, the United States, Canada. The business people that line up right now in the Philadelphia area and other places to make money out of it. The money that will be made, thousands of dollars per ticket to enter. So sports is money as well. It's also an economic thing.
You need to pattern your code. Sanjay is giving you credit for it. How they fool people to get to power, not to empower people. You just said that.
Yeah, thank
You
you.
better write
Uh,
that down and keep it somewhere.
thank you, Sandra. I'm going to pattern it and hope nobody sees it for me.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah, yeah. So sports is entertainment. Entertainment is money. Entertainment drives the economy. Even President Weah, when he went abroad and played soccer, he brought money back into the country. He built his nines, he bought his 9th Street residence. He has some money. When other players, so it's also a form of exporting talent outside so as to generate money. When people go out and they make money, they will bring it back into their country as well. So it's a way of bringing, money back into the country, foreign income and all of that. So it's not just related to or limited to children playing in the street or SKD or ATS. You are exposing people, you're giving them a possible livelihood by using their talents. Basketball players in America, football players in Europe, they become millionaires. They earn a lot of money. That's jobs. So we should look at it on a bigger scale and say, let's invest in this thing because not everybody will go to university and earn a master degree or a PhD. People have different skills and talents. Mr. Weah didn't go for an education, but he earned
But,
millions of dollars.
but not
So did
everybody,
other soccer players.
not everybody will go work in government. So
Exactly.
if you create that soccer academy and scouters are coming from across the sub region, they got better leagues outside of Liberia. The East African League, you play soccer in places like Tanzania, you play in North Africa, you get good pay. You play in places like Cameroon, in
Mhm.
Gabon, you get good pay.
Yeah.
That's semi-professional. That's where we are
Yeah.
started. So we
Yep.
know. And
Yep.
you talking back then, he made 30 grand. Back
Yep.
then,
Yep.
in the 80s, he made 30 grand when he was transferred to Tonnet Clara Cup, right? And then from
That
there
was just,
to,
that was just his transfer fee.
yeah. And
Yeah.
then he went out to what do you call it? AS Monaco, I believe that's where he started.
Yep.
So a lot could be done. A lot could be done. And he had every opportunity. Do you know what 6 years means, Alfonso? 6 years is a long time that if you really meant something, if you even put, are we just going to depend on this one SKD? That when the stadium would deal with when we have a population of 5 point something million. Yeah, we have Central Liberia, what you call it, Banga is right there, Ganta is there, the whole southeastern region, the only area that the only place that got Doris Williams Sports Stadium, that the small one right there in Buchanan. Is this a country where the best player so you just want to pass around with this title? You just want to walk with your arm, with Racing under your arm that they say you bluffing. When we are be walking, he bluffing because he's the best soccer player that ever came out of Liberia. But you can't share the gift. You remember when we were in the media, we had our beginning behind us, we're coaching them. We made a low cup reporter, we get the recorder to then say, go do that interview for me, bring it. We edit it, we play with it, we massage it, we put it on just to encourage them. How many of us didn't have beginning? You know how many young boys that Blambo Robinson, the lead brought to the media?
Yep.
Many young boys, including the very Wilmot Caillou,
Yep.
Alex Red, the Dr. Red today. Do you know how much Blumber Robinson added to those young men? He didn't see himself up there. He didn't see himself as wanting to, be the only shining star, and so it saddens me. And I just thought that when I played, I saw that clip. I was sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, if Samuel Doe could think back then when Liberia was 142 years old. Today we're about to be what? 179? Is it
Yeah.
179?
I don't even know the age.
178 or 179? Yeah, somewhere
Yeah.
up here. Can
Yep.
you imagine? Nothing has changed.
Exactly. But let's hope that is all not lost, that all is not lost, that we can do more and we can get somewhere. Let's begin to put pressure on the current administration to do something along those lines. As you and I have said, and as many people do understand, sport is not just entertainment, it also can develop people and give people careers in life and bring money to families and to communities and bring development to a community as well. It's a business. It can be developed into a business. I remember under Samuel Doe, Barrow started paying players. Barrow became a semi-professional team. They were bringing players from Ghana and other countries to come and play for Barrow, and they were getting paid. We can do that. We can develop our sports associations and our sports institutions, i.e., Barrow, whatever they are, into businesses. Sixers in Philadelphia, Knicks in New York. Those are businesses. They generate money. They invest in businesses. They hire people. They pay those players to play the game. We can do that. And um, even though our great soccer players didn't do that, but I still believe that there are avenues for us to do that, and we need to put pressure on the people who have the resources and the means and make the public policy to be able to do that, like the LFA, like the team owners and those types of teams. I remember Barrow had a gas station. We're trying to build more. They have buses where people, and there were people standing in the street who wait because they're Barrow supporters, who wait on the sidewalk to get on the Barrow bus as a way of supporting the team. People who drive to the Barrow gas station to buy gas as a way of supporting the team. We can get to that point. We can get to that point and turn our teams into business so that these teams can start paying these young people who play for them. And then these young people in turn start buying things into the economy. That's how economies grow. That's how economies develop. And soccer, sports in general, basketball can drive the economy as well. It's not just as late President Samuel Doe said, it's not grown out people's sports. It's not grown out children game.
Yes, indeed, and you're right because look at today. One of the billionaires, sports billionaires, is Michael Jordan, and right now LeBron James, uh, lat- latest Forbes says that he's a billionaire already. For the 20 some more years he played. How many people can work for 20 some more years and become a billionaire?
Become billionaires, yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot of employment in athleticism. There's a lot of opportunities. Many of our young people could come to college here. That burden will leave, will remove the burden from government, will remove the burden from the family who are striving to take care of their kids. If you know how many universities are scouting for tracks, tracks stars, for soccer player, for basketball player. You know how many universities out there these young people could come here and get a college education for free and advance their lives into technocrats and go back to Liberia and make enormous contribution to the economy. It's
Exactly.
pathetic. It's
Yeah.
highly pathetic. We have a money making machine. We have another sector in the economy, the athletic sector, sports sector in the economy, and we've done nothing to enhance it. And under a president for 6 years, did nothing. That his former youth minister had to come and say, man, listen, we failed the people. We had no strategic plan. Yes, because why? They just came to run a credible government, enrich themselves, sit at the sideline. Now they're so pissed. The puppy trying his best, they can see it and they're just damn pissed and they want to come back so much that everything that happened every day, they're complaining as if to say, nothing good is in Liberia right now. Only the CDC must come back. Only the NPC must come back. The ANC must come back because Liberia is Armageddon. Liberia is Gotham City right now. Nothing good is in the country. You think I don't have concerns of some of the things happening in Liberia? But it's not that bad. It's not at a point where we are what we call a failed state, where we say nothing is functioning. I think the country is taking good shape. Restructuring, bringing morals back into the society, changing the trajectory of the country. So listen to me. Those of you who continue to pray for 2029, that your business, go ahead and pray, bring the wrong people back, and you will take that country back to 200 years backwards. I mean, I'm done, Alfonso. I'm done. Thank you. I'm done.
Yep.
I'm done, my brother. I'm done.
Yeah. So I was saying to somebody the other day, be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you wish for, and that's the exact point you're making. But in Liberia, we have a culture. we get recognition. We become these big boys walking around town if we criticize, whether we know what we're criticizing about, whether we have any evidence or facts. We all we need to do is to jump in the street and pour our shoulder and says the quit militant, speak whatever to power, do this and make noise. I was talking and we need to get away from that. We look at other countries and say, "Oh, it's great over there. It's great over," but never recognize the good that's happening in our own backyard, in our own place. We need to kind of develop our level of patriotism and love of country a little bit. I think that's lacking, or that's at a very low level, and we need to build that. Um, um, Really quick, and I will end on this point. Ethiopia, my brother, build the largest dam in Africa. They just commissioned it. The 20th largest dam in the world. They did not go anywhere to World Bank, to this, to IMF to borrow money to build that dam. The citizens generated that money. Citizens working in the government and in private sector volunteered. They would go to the employer and say, you know what? The my $50 check I'm getting, I want to contribute 25 cents every month. They cut it from there. Market woman, like Doe did when he said, let's pay the people debt, went to places and put a 25 cent, 50 cent, and $1 in the basket. Then the government sold bonds. Diaspora, Ethiopians in the diaspora bought the most bonds because they were eager to contribute to development in their country. And then people locally bought the bonds. And then Ethiopia raised I think $4.5 billion to build that dam, the GERD. The GERD can supply every household in Ethiopia
I've
with
seen the
electricity
dam.
and
I've
still
seen the
sell
dam.
power to Egypt and other places.
I've seen the dam, Alfonso. It's a
Yeah.
mammoth
Yes.
project.
Yeah.
That stuff is scaring just looking at it. People
Yeah.
use it now for sightseeing at the same time. But
Yeah.
look, Ethiopia has catapulted itself into wild development. There's no that I see infrastructure in Africa compared as in the case of famine famine plagued
Yeah.
Addis Ababa,
Yeah.
famine plagued Ethiopia. Because you know the story of Ethiopia over time. Famine
Exactly.
plagued, right?
Mhm.
Right? So I mean, look, it's just the resolve of a people. When people want to change their destiny, when people desire to be unified and look at their country from a patriotic lens, stop all this nonsense. You advocate for somebody, you advocate for Musa Bedede, he becomes president. He's not gonna give you nothing. You advocate for George Weah to come back. You're the same one who sit down on the sideline and say you regret again. Then you'll be saying our grandpa we sorry, or our grandpa now our pa we sorry. They will say Joe Baga the grandpa, our grandpa
Yeah.
we sorry.
I'm sorry.
You know, we can't continue to do this nonsense to ourselves. That is why we need to be educated when it comes to the civility, the patriotism, the understanding of governance, what we desire as a people. For those of us, look, I will close on this note. The word is in the palm of your hand. Many people in Liberia have a smartphone. With AI right now and everything that is happening in our globe, I can sit right here now and research anything. We've brought all of the different AIs now. You have Claude, you have Chat GPT, you have all of this. You have all this information. Just take your little thought, make it a question, put it in there, and they will tell you, they will pull from every data and concise it so that you will be informed. Liberians, you need to be informed. I'm looking in the camera and telling you. They're sitting down in Attire Center, just talk off your head. You want to be the citizen lawyers and citizen journalists, and you just talk and you let these guys come for you to put them in power, and they don't empower you. Let me borrow from my man Alfonso. And then when they come to power, then within no time you complaining, because when they finish sharing the loot among themselves, you see them, the lifestyle change, you stay to the same place. But you were the one who got up 8 o'clock, not even 8 o'clock, 5 o'clock that morning to stand in the scorching sun in October to bring them to power. You need to put yourself first. You need to put your family. I had that talk show the last time. Elections is not about just the person, it's about everything. How you benefit to begin with is what in it for you to begin with, what in it for your family to begin with, what in it for your community, for your county, okay? Then for your country before it becomes what in it for the president and his cronies. If you reflect and think about it that way, you will put the right people in power. There's still good people in Liberia and outside of Liberia that mean well for that country. You can't keep recycling the same people. These people are not better than some of us. They don't have governance and leadership abilities. They've never been tested. They've not led anything. Didn't lead anything. Okay? What we know of Ellen, what did the Ellen lead much? What did Charles Taylor lead? Parker 40 years experience, how much did he lead? Yes. But at the same time, there are many other people out here in the world from Liberia who can do better for our country. So let's stop this. Every day, these same people, you keep bringing them back and they keep hurting us. Let's begin to think. Let's begin to think so that we give somebody else, someone else who may come and we may overlook. Not because you know somebody. I tell a woman all the time, you see the man, you know him. But for you to know the man, you got to let the man coax you and you'll begin to have conversation. Then you will be able to draw the line. When he start talking too much about his accomplishment, then you know he just kind of show off. But when this man come, yeah. But because the man bring rest, no, and that's how they look at it. I liken Liberians to a fine woman. I always say all of our Liberian voters are fine women. They're fine women. And the politicians just come. As soon as a man come, he bring the bag of rest. He show up with t-shirts. He show up with money. Then I a man. But the other man who come and say, no, I'm not here to come and brag or show off. I'm here with substance. I'm here with purpose. I'm here with strategy that can change our country. Oh, that man a mean man. Oh, that man a fissy man. Oh, that man ain't got nothing. So they like the shammers. They like the braggadocio people who will come and just show off. And that's what killing our electors in our country. So in closing, for me, the choice is yours. I just talked about it the other day, and I said 2029 is on the horizon. You can choose to go backwards, you can choose to stay mediocre, or you can choose to go forward. Thank you.
Absolutely. I think on that note, there's nothing more I can add. You really hit the nail on the head. There's no need for us to, repeat for me to repeat what you said. I think that's it. I think we need to look within ourselves. We need to have a little bit of patriotism. We need to look at what's going on in the country, and we need to choose wisely. And we need to make wise and critical decisions. And most importantly, we need to get involved in the progress and development of our country in our own lives. And I think that's what countries that made progress and are still making progress today, that's what their citizens do. Nobody's going to come from outside to do it for you. The government is human beings, citizens of the country. They're not people that are falling down from the skies or from heaven. So we have to work together to get it done. And I think you also did say, oh, that will be my final comment as we pat, hopefully, and I run to go pick up this young lady from her track practice. Yeah.
So at this point, I'd just like to thank all of you who watched the show tonight. Come back here on Thursday. I will be here with the Volcano Shelton show. Again, the Issues Room is one day a week, Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 11 p.m. in Liberia. And then on Thursday, I come with my show, the Volcano Shelton show. So it's twice a week, but one is the Issues Room, and on Thursday. So this Thursday, I have a very good show you don't want to miss. You have to come and join me. I will hope that you will do, because it's going to be a discussion of a national crisis, a national concern in Liberia, and I really want a lot of you to show up. The flyer will be out tomorrow, in preparation for the show on Thursday. So again, I just want to encourage you to continue to follow us, like us, love us. We're here because we love our country and we want to contribute. Now, I know that many of you don't like what we say. Many of you will not agree, but that's your right. That's what we're here to say, that we don't expect everyone to agree with us, to see it from our lens. I'm just an ordinary guy, just like you, who's wanting the best for my country, and the best is yet to come. And I'm hoping that as we continue to move toward the opportunity of elections, because it is the only time that we have the voice, meaning the electorates have the voice, the voters have the voice, that will think wisely, that will think the right way, and that will make the right decision for our country. Because what affects you affects me. It's not because I'm in the diaspora, it doesn't impact me. I want to come to a beautiful Liberia. I want someday after I retire to return home and be at peace and live the few final years of my life, just like those guys who you give power to in the country. They build the big houses and the high fence and have the 24-hour generator. My own, I will have to come out of pocket to do it. Over there, those guys in government, they take it from you and they put it out there right in your face, right in your face, and leave you to nothing. But those of us in the diaspora, we're coming back and we're imparting, the economy in many ways. And that's why we're here to have these conversations. So if you see us, don't mind them. They're not from here. They don't know what we're going through. They're your business. I know what you're going through because, again, as I said, I have the internet. I have, information right in the palm of my hand, and I can see, I can feel, I can taste, I can smell everything happening in Liberia right now. I can tell you when it's raining. I can tell you when the sun's shining. So thank you so much for joining me, Volcano Shelton, Alfonso Yeno. We'll be back here next Tuesday. But again, Thursday, I will be here with the Volcano Shelton show on the national issue that I want to talk about. So please join me then. Until then, have a pleasant rest of your evening. See you again.